We're joined by Samson Ladianyenini. He's a lawyer. He's the host of News File. And Samson, good morning.
Good.
Yeah, I realized that yesterday when Erastus was narrating the updates from the police, some aspect of it didn't strike you as being quite correct. This idea that there was no court date, even though these individuals have been released on police recognizance bail. Can you elaborate for us? What doesn't sound right about this arrangement?
Everything doesn't sound right about what we're here. And I like to begin on the note that would you imagine that you have not, as a media house, taken upon yourself to exact accountability from the police? Imagine how this matter would have been treated. Even when you are doing so, see how it is being treated. It's been almost 3 weeks, is it? And the explanation remains the same. But there appears to be a lie in the narrative, which I will speak to shortly. Now, in May of 2023, the Attorney General said that it was prosecuting about 119 galamsey cases. In September of 2024, the Attorney General says they are doing in excess of 850 cases, and they've been successful so far with some 76 cases. Then he blames the the Chief Justice or the judicial system of slowing the pace. And the Chief Justice is very straightforward and categorical that this has absolutely nothing to do with the judges, so to speak. Now, if you are indicating to us that you are very serious about prosecuting these matters, what explains this particular situation where journalists were almost killed? And let's be frank about it, they were just lucky. God saved them. These guys marched them into the bush, they heckled, they beat them, what they did was kidnapping them. What they did was abducting them. If it doesn't get any serious than that, they were all armed. First questions will be asked about the arms, their source, whether they are licensed, they are not, what they were doing with these arms within this place. And the police does not make a single arrest. 3 people surrender. And these people who surrender are granted police inquiry bail. So sometimes when we are making an advocacy and people don't understand it, the way the partisanship has brainwashed their followers so that they can only think in the lens of partisanship and nothing else. When these guys went on a demonstration publicly, they may have done some wrong. The wrong is that they were burning something on the street. This is the public glare. And they got arrested. When they are arrested, there's a holiday ahead. The police is able to grant them police inquiry bail. It doesn't grant them bail. It keeps them for some of them over 48 hours as permitted by law. And then eventually, when they are put before the court, what do the courts also do? Some judges place a big dampener on our democratic experience as far as the right to demonstrate is concerned. And they keep them beyond 2 weeks before they grant them bail. These are people involved in galamsey, and they are armed. They were in the process where they could have killed 3 people. They assaulted them. If it doesn't get any serious than then what else? So could you hear it is? Now, I don't understand why immediately they granted police inquiry bail to them the way they did. Now, if you say you have filed a case in court, but you are waiting for a date, could you take my word for it? That would be a lie from the pit of hell. The standard process and the law is that after they presented themselves, either the police were holding them, and within 48 hours, they were going to arraign them, meaning they were going to put them before court. If they had put them before court within 48 hours, when they were in their custody, they would have to ask for bail from the court. If they decided not to do so and granted them police inquiry bail, and they say they have charged them, and they have filed the charges in court, once the charges are filed, it comes with a date, firm date to appear in court. So the very day they filed the process in court, there would have been a date on it for which the suspects have to be in court. And they will appear in court, their plea will be taken, they will repeat their bail application or now make it formally before the court, and the court will decide either to adopt the bail under the conditions that the police already granted them or new conditions, and then there would have been a next date for which they will appear in court. It does not happen. It never happens that the process has been filed and yet there is no date for the suspect to appear in court. Somebody ought to be answering some questions.
So, from as an officer of the court, your professional advice here is that it is impossible for a group of people to be bailed, charged with no court date.
The lawyer, the report we have is that the police officer in charge is saying that they have filed the charges. Immediately you file it. You see the processes, the civil processes you see out there, you will normally see the time of the filing, and you will see the date for sale.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen any differently, particularly in a criminal matter. And in a serious matter like this, you see, when the president said the amendment in 2020, the amendment to increase the offenses to a minimum of 15 years imprisonment and 25 years maximum, he said that amendment was necessary because we needed to take away discretion from the court, because the judges, some of them were not helping the cause. So you take away their discretion and fix it there, that this is what you have to apply. As it appears, we are not serious about it. And it's not really about any judge. It's about those who are supposed to prosecute the matters. And let's not look at the police. This matter will be a matter that will be dealt with by the Attorney General. How can they explain that they have filed the charges in court, but the date has not been given? It is automatic. It comes with a date. And those guys are walking free. They have not appeared before any court. Tell me where the deterrence is. They are not answering to any charge as we speak before any court. And it's going to take us over a month to do that. If you were not holding them accountable, imagine what this matter would have been reduced to. or confirming the claims we hear over and again that these guys are powerful because they have money and they are always paying their way. That's how it's going. It appears. Even a matter of this nature is being treated to becoming what we say commonly as a foolish case. Which other matter will be taken seriously? The police must answer some questions. The Attorney General's department must also answer some questions. How did that happen? That they filed the matter in the court and there is no date for a criminal charge.
So, is it more likely that these individuals have actually not been charged with anything, and that the story that they have been arrested, charged, and released on police inquiry bail might just be a cover-up?
It is not something that is impossible because of what we have become aware of and what we know in dealing with these matters. Otherwise, that ought to be an impossibility. That it is normally where the issues potentially will not attract any public attention and they can put them, under the carpet. We are dealing with some ignoramuses, some very poor people who can't, help themselves and don't have a voice. That you will find, especially the errant police officers who are endemically corrupt, just say anything to such people and say, we are doing this already, so you go. And that ends the matter.
Right.
I can't believe that is possible with this kind of case. That you would think that it involves journalists and you just say anything and questions will not be asked, that they have not been charged and you say they have been charged, that you have not filed charges in the court and you tell the journalists that you have filed charges, knowing very well that this matter will be in the public. These guys could have died. I can't imagine the trauma they went through. This is how serious we are. This is how serious the Attorney General is taking this matter and the police. Oh, God.
Samson, what recourse do we have? Because obviously we can't take this lying down. We've got to take some action. What can we do to compel a process of justice to at least be commenced in this matter? What do we do? Do we petition the IGP? What are our options?
Right. So let us pretend that the police hierarchy is unaware, and that it is some errant guys in that police station, wherever it is, in that town, that is misbehaving. And that even that police officer in charge, their bosses are not aware that this is what they are doing, just playing around this matter. Let's pretend also that the Attorney General is not aware. So, your proposition, what works? File a formal petition to them and ask them to take this matter serious. But multimedia already filed a petition. That complaint, that statement that was issued on the back of this, any serious law enforcement will take it up. So maybe, just do it for the abundance of caution. But this is sad. This is sad that these guys are doing this, and it's not that they are going there to get money. They could afford that. When they discover these things, they will say, always the people are upfront to want to, bribe them. And they would have taken money and walk away. But they are not doing that. The Minerals Commission and the other stakeholders continue to tell us that we should help them. And this is what the media is doing. And people are putting their lives on the line. The president did it. put his presidency on the line as he promised. Ordinary Ghanaians are doing this, and this is how we treat them when they have been put in a way that they would have been killed. Imagine when Erastus tells the story. I don't know how we process some of these things. I've known journalists who have suffered trauma to the point they are suffering medical situations because of the trauma they go through. These guys were surrounded by over a dozen people or so.
Yeah.
All armed. AK-47 rifles. Hitting them with the butt of the gun. Threatening to kill them. They abducted them, put them in their vehicle, drove them miles into a place they were unaware. A place where they could not have help. The vehicle, the bag, they say that, came around the place, and Erastus boldly went forward, lifting his hand and shouting to them for help. The guys could have shot him.
Yeah.
Look. Anyway, whoever it is, let us say, that they have filed a case and they don't have a date. It's a big lie. They must be answering. They should tell us where they filed it, when they filed it, what is the case number, and why a date was not fixed.
Yeah.
In the area, the district or circuit court there, or whichever court that is supposed to, sit on this matter. Is it like in the Upper East region, where the courts, have been charged? Have a good morning, could you?
Thank you, Samson. Thank you very much. Samson Ladianyenini is lawyer and host of Newsfile. Raymond.
When you listen, of course, there's very little doubt in the minds of the people that nobody takes this serious. Ideally, for even not so relevant issues, the police would have issued statements, giving updates, and consistently been telling the people what the latest on this is supposed to be. If for nothing at all, a group in this country constituted themselves into a militia. They took the law into their own hands, brandishing weapon, and threatened to kill journalists. The worst you could do, the least you could do, is take it seriously. Don't reduce this to a certain police station in a corner and make it look like that's how this ought to be dealt with. And sometimes when you hear our people, this is not just an Erastus matter or the team he was working with. You think about it. We have in the last few months or more been talking about the destruction of our water bodies, our rivers and everything. We purported some action ought to be done, some additional measures ought to be deployed and all of that. The man is on the ground doing the work that state agency doing monitoring and evaluation ought to do. That the Minerals Commission that's supposed to have mining inspectors across this country, mining district, ought to do. This is the work that government that is purporting to fight illegal mining should be doing. Monitoring whether or not there is indeed a fight going on the ground. And yet, we are all moving on acting as if business as usual. Let's even put that one aside. On the other hand, are we not worried that in this century, not just a journalist, anybody could be abducted to the extent that he has to go and plead with another grouping to come to their rescue at the risk of losing their lives? And this would have gone under the radar, nobody hearing. Could you and I will be sitting here and say we can't find Erastus the team members?
We would not know for him by now.
Yes. That would be the time that you see all these irrelevant state institutions issuing statements and pretending to care. But now, thanks be to God, you have some work that you can do from going forward. And that too has become a problem. Just the barest minimum, doing your job as is expected of you, has become a problem. to the extent that you have to lie, barefaced lie, merely to protect this charade you are putting up in not doing your work. And then you ask, what will be the motivation behind this? Because there should be some motivation. It will be a lot putting your reputation on the line for just some errant illegal miners in some corner of this country. That is when you get to know that these are not just people who are merely on the streets and unknown with no connections. In the Republic of Ghana, it is only when you are with connections that can get this privileged treatment, that we can tell lies on your behalf, that we can pretend things are happening when nothing is happening. And that should be a shame to all of us.
That 8 armed police officers can ask you if they can please arrest you, and you say no.
Yeah.
Because you're buying a whistle. Look, let me just say this and then we wrap things up. The current IGP, Dr. Dampare, is one who has deeply concerned himself with redeeming the image of the police. It has been a priority of his that he wants the police's image to be redeemed. Dr. Dampare, I don't know if you realize, the current image of your police is that they are impotent. If 8 of them armed can go to a Galamsey site where illegal mining is happening all around them, and they cannot arrest any of the suspects on the site because they say Oman buying a wasso, then they are impotent. Now we are heading into an election where your police officers are tasked with keeping the peace and ensuring that these elections go smoothly. Our entire democracy balances on the edge of peaceful election, and it is your job to ensure that we get it. Please, 8 of your men armed can't arrest Galamseyers. How are we supposed to believe that you can maintain law and order during an election when the entire country is out voting in ballot in polling stations and people are misbehaving? Can your police ensure a peaceful election when they can't arrest Galamseyers?